Good evening, everyone. For anybody who doesn't know who I am, my name is Mariando Hufford, and I am very privileged to serve as the 7th president and head of school at Miami Country Day School. I'm so excited and full of joy to welcome you to our inaugural Miami Country Day School Arts Hall of Fame ceremony. It's a moment that beautifully weaves together the threads of creativity, memory, and purpose that have long defined our community. Tonight, we celebrate not only extraordinary artistry, but also the enduring spirit of those who have helped make the arts a cornerstone of this amazing school. The stories that we honor this evening remind us that the arts are so much more than performances or productions. They're acts of courage, imagination, and love. They're the ways that we make meaning of our world and of one another. To the families and the friends of our inductees, thank you for carrying forward the legacy of your loved ones. Though they're no longer with us, their artistry, vision, and spirit live on in the hearts of generations of Spartans who learned to sing and dance and act and collaborate and express themselves and bring beauty into all of our lives. To our alumni performers and artists, Carmen, Brittany, Tiffany, Nick, your return tonight is a gift to all of us. You remind us that while time moves on, the connections that we have forged here through the arts never fade. And of course, through our extraordinary arts faculty and production teams who bring imagination to life on this stage, on the walls of this amazing building, and behind the scenes. Thank you for your tireless work, your artistry, and your belief in our students' potential. Your dedication not only supports the arts at Country Day, but it also builds and expands them. A very special note of gratitude, appreciation for Terry Alfonso, whose vision, can we give her a round of applause? We have been talking about this Hall of Fame for a few years now, and it's all her vision, her care, and her passion for the arts that have made tonight and so much more of what happens in this building possible. Terry, thank you for reminding us that art lives wherever people gather to share truth and beauty. And thank you to all of the people who worked with Terry and supported her in making this dream a reality. As we unveil these plaques and remember the voices, hands, and hearts that shaped our story, may we also look ahead with gratitude, imagination, and the conviction that the arts will continue to inspire and elevate our community for generations to come. So thank you to all of you for a night of, and let's have a wonderful night of deep appreciation, joyful remembrance, and celebration of the creative spirit that defines Miami Country Day School. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Terry Alfonso, and I have the great privilege of serving as the Director of Arts and Education here at Miami Country Day School. If you know me, you know sequins are not my normal attire. I think I wore them one other time in the 80s, and it was peer pressure for sure. But I wore this tonight because I want this truly to be a night of celebration. We are here to celebrate 4 extraordinary people, and we're literally in this building because of those 4 extraordinary people. So a very special welcome to the families of Adam, Sandi, Jonina, and John. Welcome as well to our alumni. There are many of you out there representing more than 40 years of MCDS history. Your presence this evening is a testament to your love and respect for our inductees tonight. And to our faculty, the arts faculty in particular, who has done everything this week from stapling to taping to stuffing name tags to giving me Diet Coke when I'm cranky. They've been just really extraordinary, and I can't thank them enough. I'm so really blessed to work with the people who I work with every day. Thank you to our staff and administration. Thank you for being here. Your presence is the truest reflection of our community spirit. The Miami Country Day School Arts Hall of Fame was established to honor alumni and faculty who have made outstanding contributions to the arts through their talent, leadership, and advocacy. This initiative celebrates those whose creativity and vision have enriched lives, built community, and inspired generations on our campus and far beyond. Like our beautiful Center for the Arts, which it's really gorgeous. And I still, when I walk in here, can't believe it on a daily basis. The Hall of Fame reflects the school's belief that the arts are an essential part of being an educated human and a cornerstone of lifelong learning. My hope is that it connects the past, present, and future of our arts community, ensuring that the stories and legacies of our artists, teachers, and advocates continue to illuminate the path for generations to come. We stand on the shoulders of giants. Because of them, we can see further and achieve more. In this inaugural year, I took the privilege of selecting our first inductees myself, and I'm pretty sure I got it right. In future years, however, a committee will carefully review and select from nominations submitted by MCDS faculty, students, families, and alumni. I'm sure you're going to see several people tonight that'll eventually be up there on our Arts Hall of Fame. At its heart, this Hall of Fame is about legacy, the lasting impact of those who shaped our story through their art, through their teaching, their life lessons, and their humanity. Adam, Jonina, Sandi, and John exemplify legacy. And who better to share their stories than the alumni who lived, loved, and learned with them while they were here at MCDS. So it is with immense gratitude and pride that I introduce our first presenter for Adam Epstein. Carmen Bell currently serves as the Community and Donor Relations Coordinator at Riverside House, a faith-based nonprofit dedicated to helping individuals successfully re-enter society after incarceration and homelessness. She holds a BA in criminal justice from Florida Southern College and lives in Pembroke Pines with her daughter. A creative at heart, she enjoys singing, writing, and public speaking, sharing her creativity to inspire and uplift others. I close my eyes and I can still hear Carmen's amazing voice in the cafetorium as our Mother Superior in The Sound of Music. Please join me in welcoming Miami Country Day alum, class of 1991, Carmen Bell.
Good evening, everyone. Pardon me while I adjust myself here. Good evening, everyone. It is a deep honor to stand before you tonight as we celebrate the Inaugural Arts Hall of Fame here at Miami Country Day School. And it is an even greater honor to speak about my dear friend, Adam Epstein, a friend I met right here at this very campus, and a friend whose light continues to shine even though he left us far too soon. Adam passed away last August after a sudden and grueling battle with a brain tumor. His loss was heartbreaking and unexpected. Yet tonight, as we remember and honor him, I can almost hear his voice passionately convincing Mr. Wicker to take the Jesus Christ Superstar musical to the James L. Knight Center for a one-night show, which he did, and it was a sold-out performance, echoing through the Garner Center, full of life and possibility, just as he always was. I first met Adam in high school. Technically, we've known of each other since my 4th grade year and his 3rd, when we performed in Alice in Wonderland. I was the rabbit, and if memory serves, he was the Mad Hatter. But it wasn't until my 9th grade year and his 8th that we truly became friends. And from the start, Adam was already talking about his future. He said without a shadow of a doubt, I'm going to be a Broadway producer. And that's exactly what he became. Adam's accomplishments are staggering. A Tony Award-winning producer whose shows earned 46 Tony nominations and 12 Tony Awards. He received a Tony in 2003 as a producer of Hairspray, and his productions delighted audiences on stages across the country. He earned a BA in political science from NYU, where he subsequently worked as an adjunct faculty member. He also earned a master's degree in American Studies at Brown University. Now, these accolades are impressive, but if you knew Adam, you know they are just the surface. Don't get me wrong, his talent was immense, yes, but his spirit was even bigger. For me, Adam wasn't just the Broadway producer. He was my friend, and in many ways, my first producer. You see, when I joined Mr. Wicker's chorus in high school and began to discover that I could sing, Adam immediately decided, without even asking me, that he would be the one to produce my performances. So every year, at the very start of the school year, he'd ask, what songs do you want to sing? Any musicals you're excited about? And then he'd hand me a list of songs he thought would showcase my voice best. We'd rehearse together, discuss outfits, hair, makeup. He gave me the full service package. He wanted to make sure I delivered a show-stopping number every time. We sang together constantly, on stage, in rehearsal, in the car, on the way to lunch or dinner, at his home, at his family high school graduation celebration. Those moments were pure joy, and ones I continue to cherish today. You know, Adam had this gift of seeing potential in people and drawing it out. He did it for me and for so many others. Adam loved being with people. He was endlessly curious, always brimming with the latest news or ideas. I'd often ask, how does he even know all this? But that was Adam. Always learning, always sharing, always lighting up every room he entered. What I treasure most is that Adam kept reminding me time and again, even up to 2024, to never let go of my own gifts. He believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. And that's who he was. Someone who lifted others, who wanted everyone around him to shine. Tonight, as we induct Adam Epstein into the Miami Country Day School Arts Hall of Fame, we celebrate not just the awards and achievements, but the heart behind them. Adam showed us that dreams spoken aloud, even as a teenager at this high school campus, that dreams can become reality. He showed us that art is not just performance, but connection, friendship, and joy. Adam's life, though far too short, was a colorful, beautiful masterpiece. And his legacy will continue to inspire me and every student who walks this campus and dares to dream big. To Adam's family, friends, colleagues, and all who loved him, thank you for sharing him with me and with us. And to Adam, my friend, my unofficial producer, our high school graduation duet song still plays in my heart. Part of it says, through good times and bad times, I'll be on your side forevermore. That's what friends are for. Adam, that's exactly what friendship means. And thank you for what you gave to all of us. Thank you, Adam. And thank you, everyone. God bless.
So the pattern of this evening will be that there's an alum speaking of each of our inductees, as Carmen just did so beautifully, and then a member of the family is speaking about each of our inductees. So I'd like to at this time invite Mr. Wayne Sipin, Adam's uncle, to share a few thoughts of Adam's time here.
Good evening. First, let me say, Carmen, thank you for those words. They say that words from the heart enter the heart, and that's what that did. My name is Wayne Sipin. I'm Adam's uncle. I'm here on behalf of the Epstein family tonight. Also here tonight is Adam's mother, my sister, Bonnie Epstein, and her partner, Michael Magazine. Unfortunately, Adam's father, Mark, and brother, Brett, could not be here tonight. Brett, as you may know, was also an alumnus of Miami Country Day, and he was involved in the arts. When he was here, he was in all of the various bands. Adam was a superstar in the field of the arts. Broadway producer, as you've heard, Tony winner for Hairspray, Fox News personality, writer, political commentator. And along the way, he also received a master's from Brown in American Studies. In his short time with us, he achieved such notoriety, such reputation and celebrity, such that his untimely passing was actually picked up in not only national news, but international news. We miss him more than words can express. So, how did Adam achieve such success? I think it can be summed up in one word: talent. And that talent was nurtured right here at Miami Country Day School. I remember coming here when Adam was a junior and watching him perform in a school production. I think it was in the cafeteria, if I'm not mistaken, and in Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. And it was just a fantastic production put on by Mrs. Lewis and Mr. Wicker, who are also being honored tonight, and rightfully so. And then I came back, I think the following year. I think they did the same play, but this time Adam had the lead. And once again, an unbelievable production. And over the years, as you've heard, Adam kept in contact with Mrs. Lewis and Mr. Wicker and Miami Country Day School. And he was so proud to be a graduate of Miami Country Day. I think perhaps there's no greater honor than to be recognized by one's peers. And that's why this is such a tremendous honor for Adam to be inducted into the Miami Country Day School Arts Hall of Fame. And especially as the initial group coming into the Hall of Fame, and even more especially as the only student who's being inducted tonight. And so our family is so grateful to Miami Country Day School that they have chosen to honor Adam in this way. This award ensures that Adam's legacy will never be forgotten. Thank you.
Presenting for Sandi Lewis tonight is Brittany Sarkisian. Brittany is a proud Country Day alum and a member of the 13-year club who graced the stage in nearly every school musical and production we did. After graduation, she spent 2 decades in Los Angeles working in the entertainment industry and is now a member of the Writers Guild of America, the Screen Actors Guild, and AFTRA. Today, Brittany makes her living as a professional screenwriter and director, while continuing to work as an actor in film, television, and video games, with credits that include Bring It On, Fight to the Finish, Bratz, Grand Theft Auto, and EA Skate. She now resides in Austin, Texas with her husband, actor-producer Jalen Moore, and their 3 children. She is, without a doubt, and I have seen many, the director, creator, choreographer of the greatest homecoming sketch in the history of Miami Country Day School. It was all about the 6 potentials, and it was amazing. Please join me in welcoming Miami Country Day alum, class of 2004, Brittany Sarkisian.
I have to wear glasses now. I'm not in high school anymore, so pardon me. Hello, everyone. Hi. Sandi Lewis. What a legend. I hear some giggles out there in the audience, and it's probably because when you hear her name alone just brings up a flood of memories, because if you knew her, you know. Ms. Lou was more than a teacher. She was a mom, a mentor, and for many of us, a friend. She was a character straight out of a vaudeville musical. Sing out, Louise! That was Miss Lou. She was loud, she was dramatic, she was opinionated, and she was wildly talented. She was a force of nature. If you didn't know her, let me just paint a quick picture for anybody who didn't know her. She would sit right outside of her classroom every day in a monogrammed director's chair and yell at you. But it wasn't that mean yelling. It was that mama bear, I'm gonna tell you how it is, let's get this day going kind of yelling. You know, it would be like, about time, get to class, you're running late. Or what's with the PDA? Oh my God, get a room. Oh, the hair, what's with the hair? I don't like it, I don't like it. You know, Sandi was not short on her opinions. You always knew how she was feeling. But if she was yelling at you, it meant she loved you. And Sandi loved a lot of people. It wasn't, Sandi didn't just teach drama, she was drama. But in the best possible way possible. Sandi loved a good meal. Food was one of her many love languages. In fact, we started this tradition called the lunch bunch. Sandi used to have a picnic table right outside her classroom. And every single day, and I mean every day, a group of us would gather outside her classroom and have lunch with a pile of takeout menus. I'd walk to school and I'd be running late for class and she'd be like, do you want bagel and co today, or here comes the sun? Here's the menu. Little did I realize our negotiations with takeout menus would prepare me for a writer's room. Every day it would be me, Natalie Bernard, Marissa Vetto, who are both here this evening, Jordan Turchin, Charlotte Walters, Carla Webster, and many other guest stars. And we would sit with Sandi and laugh and gossip and tell stories and share fries and listen to the tea of what happened that day or get her strong opinions about everything. And these lunches, they weren't just meals. They were therapy sessions, they were comedy shows, and they were mentorship. Looking back now, I actually realize how rare that was and how special. You know, I lived in Los Angeles for 20 years, and I'd tell my friends about my high school experience, and my friends would be like, wait, you ate with your drama teacher every single day? And I'm like, you didn't? I didn't realize how cool that was and special. Speaking of mealtime, Sandi loved to celebrate her students' accomplishments. She loved taking her students out in the world, whether it was a thespian competition or a dinner at Buca di Beppo. When I was a freshman, actually, I went to the district thespian competition, and I was the only Miami Country Day student that year to get a superior rating. And superior means you go to state in Tampa, and I thought, well, I'm the only one, and I'm a freshman, she's not gonna take me. And Sandi, sure enough, said, pack your bags, kids, we're going to Tampa. And it was just me and my mom and Sandi in Tampa, Florida, and she'd sat front row at my performance, cheering me on as if it were a Broadway show. And of course, a celebration wouldn't be complete without a dinner at Burns Steakhouse after, with a special reservation at the dessert room after. She'd always tell me, you gotta celebrate in style, kid. The following year, actually, a group of us went to state, and we all went for the cell block tango, and sure enough, same treatment, Burns Steakhouse, and a nightcap at the, well, not a nightcap, we were underage then, but a dessert nightcap at the famous dessert room. It really cemented my relationship with Sandi. She always made me feel special. She always taught me to live big, live large. She loved her students like family. She'd talk about us as if we were her own kids. And like we kind of were, you know, she brought us into her family. She'd tell us about Adam Epstein's career as if we were all related. And you know, Adam and I, we didn't graduate, I mean, I think he graduated 12 years before me, but I mean, she talked to me as if like Adam and I were best friends. And what's funny is years later, I'm living in Los Angeles, I actually ended up auditioning for Adam, and then we ended up collaborating, and it was like we were old friends because we had that like Sandi connection. We were part of her family. She treated us like her babies, and once you were a part of that tribe, you were there for life. Sandi had a sixth sense about people. When she saw you, the real you, even when you didn't. When I was in middle school, she actually gave me the opportunity to audition for the high school musical, Jesus Christ Superstar. And somehow, along with Terry Alfonso and John Wicker, I was cast as a tiny 7th grader as King Herod. And I know you think, King Herod, but listen, I did it like a cabaret singing diva, and Sandi loved it. She saw a spark in me even when I didn't know I had it. She opened up many doors for me. She gave me a lot of opportunities to shine here at Country Day, and one of those opportunities, as Terry Alfonso did say, was she made me the captain of our homecoming skit competition. Now, if you were around back then, which I know a lot of you were, you know that the homecoming skit competition was serious business here at Country Day. Each class had to write, direct, and perform a 15-minute play that had to do with the homecoming theme. And let me tell you, it got really intense because there had never been an undefeated class in the history of Miami Country Day until the class of 2004 came along. Freshman year, we won. Sophomore year, we won. Junior year, we won. And senior year, we should have won, but we got disqualified because we didn't stick to the theme well enough, but we all know that didn't really make any sense because we incorporated the whole child into it. Anyways, as you can tell, I'm still really bitter about it, but Sandi was too. But the crazy thing is, funnily enough, as silly as a homecoming skit competition feels, like it had such an impact on me I had to write and direct and produce and choreograph and perform. And now that's literally what I do for a living. And so much to the point that I actually wrote a movie musical about that whole competition. And of course, there's a drama teacher in the movie. And of course, her name is Sandi Lewis. That would be my, thank you. Honestly, if I'm sure she's gonna make it happen because it would be the highest way to honor her. And let's face it, she would love a celebrity playing her. Sandi taught us many lessons, whether it was acting, singing, dancing, but she really taught us to feel. I'll never forget, we were rehearsing for the school musical. We did a musical review that year, and I was singing Someone to Watch Over Me. There's a somebody I'm longing to see. I hope that he turns out to be someone to... Brittany, no. That is not how you sing it. And, I was taken back. I'm wondering, did I do something wrong? She said, no, kid, you gotta feel it. You gotta live it. You gotta tell us a story through the song. Like this. And I'll never forget this. Sandi stands up and she goes, there's a somebody I'm longing to see. I hope that he turns out to be someone to watch over me. Okay, and now here we are. You're that somebody watching over us. Here we are in this amazing theater that Sandi would have loved. I would have really loved it too, by the way. Don't get me wrong, I love the cafeteria, but this, come on! This is amazing! We still feel your presence, Sandi, in this theater. Thank you for your laughter, your love, and being your unapologetic, true self. And even though there's a void here in this theater that you're not here, if I close my eyes, I can still hear your voice saying, wrap it up, kid, the show must go on. And it will, in your honor.
She's right, they were robbed. They should have, it was, I totally agree. And now we have Stephen Lewis, Sandi's son, who will share a few thoughts. Yep. By the way, while he's walking up here, Sandi called about 1 million alums to raise money for this building. This building is literally here partly because of the phone call she made. So I know that she lives in this building with us in spirit, and I'm sure that we will enjoy some of Stephen's stories.
Oofda. I just told Brandy I was holding it together until I didn't. I didn't prepare anything because I wasn't sure what to prepare. I will say that Brandy used the word love quite a few times. And my mother loved being a mother. Not to just me, not to my sister, not to her grandchildren, but the collective whole that was her family at Country Day. The last time I got up and spoke in front of a crowd-ish like this was at her memorial service, where I spoke, my uncle spoke, her grandson spoke, and then we opened it up. And then they had to kick us out because there was another funeral waiting to happen behind us And we'd already run an hour and change over. Because literally, person after person, student after student, colleague after colleague, parent after parent, had something to say about my mom. I know she's looking down, because I was good. It said, the invitation said, elegant and expressive dress. And I said, I don't own anything elegant. I don't do elegant. And then I said to my wife, I said, hey, we should rent like a tux. And I'm like, shit, she wouldn't know who I was. I'd get her, she's like, who's this person? Mom, I miss you. I love you. She loved this place. It is so fitting that she's going in with John and Adam. Because if I heard their names once, I heard their names 7,000 times. And Joseph the Technicolor Dreamcoat, and Sweeney Todd, and the Phantom of the Opera, and all, just show after show after show. I'm like, Mom, do you teach, or like, do you just go to shows? What do you do? Like, what? She was put on this earth to be a mom, and it used to drive me crazy until I realized that it was her special power. And she didn't care who you were, and you didn't have to be hers, but she loved you. And she wanted people to be the best version of themselves. I developed an existential lit class some years ago. And one of the things that I kind of thought about as I worked teaching this class, and my kids used to say, well, you know, death's the end. I'm like, no, death's not the end. You're not truly dead till nobody speaks your name. And what this place is going to do is make it so her name is always spoken. And there's no greater gift than that. And for that, I thank you, Terry, Country Day, all her former students, all her former colleagues, the people who loved her. She'd be more, her heart would be bursting. And that's fitting, so thanks.
As we link our past with our future, we wanted to share a small demonstration of the legacy continued with some of our incredibly talented students. I think you can see we have incredibly talented alums. So I'm going to ask the Honors Jazz Band to take it away. Thank you very much, Honors Jazz Combo. That's awesome. And thank you to your director, Mr. Kasha, for getting you guys prepared. So, presenting for Jonina Pitchman is Tiffany K. Guillen. Tiffany is a film and TV director, co-founder of Creative X Entertainment, and a Forbes 30 Under 30 lister. Her work includes projects with HBO Max, Shondaland, Netflix, and most recently, directing for Amazon Season 2 of Cross. Much of her work is centered around important topics meant to inspire change, a passion that traces back to theater for social change, led in part by none other than Mrs. Pitchman. Our MCDS-inspired, award-winning scriptwriter has gone on to amazing feats. Please join me in welcoming Miami Country Day alum, class of 2012, Tiffany Guillen.
All right, I'm gonna get set up here as well. My iPad is, there we go. Maybe I need glasses. All right, I love how I'm finding this out right now as I'm about to. All righty. Do something fun. Okay. When I was told about speaking tonight, I think the first thing, as many of you can understand, is you start racking your mind with all the memories that you can bring up. But the first thing that came to my mind was this video I saw a few years ago. And it basically said that every part of who we are can be traced back to someone else. Sometimes it's in the small things, like your favorite food combo that you learned from a friend, or how you take your coffee because your college roommate made it. And sometimes it's the bigger things, the way that you see the world, the career you choose, or the belief that art can change the world. And I have the great honor of speaking about a woman who had a hand in shaping all three for me. One of the most remarkable people I have ever known, Miss Jonina Pitchman. She was a loving wife and mother. She was a friend. She was a dancer, an artist, an advocate for the arts, and she was a mentor, which is what I had a great privilege of calling her. I have to admit that this is not my first speech about Miss Pitchman. I actually gave one in 2012 during one of our graduation ceremonies on behalf of our class. Now, a little fun fact is that she had taken over as our class sponsor because, let's just say, no one wanted the job. We were a challenging bunch. Honestly, it seemed like my classmates, it made it their mission to really test our teachers to see if this was really the right career fit for them. If memory serves me, I'm pretty sure that we were deemed to be the most difficult class that they had seen in over 10 years. But not for Miss Pitchman. She accepted everyone, took BS from no one, but loved absolutely everyone. And for the first time, I think our class finally agreed on something. We loved Miss Pitchman. She was the perfect balance between authority figure and confidant, school mom and drama teacher or dance teacher, or when you really needed it most, friend. But being our class sponsor wasn't the way I first met Miss Pitchman. I met her and her incredible sons, AJ and Zach, in the place we all share the same love for, the stage. My freshman year, I actually auditioned for this play called The Invisible J. Michael Hess, which was a play about bullying and mental health struggles. And it was part of a program called Theater for Social Change, which Ms. Locker and Ms. Pitchman had started. I wanted in. The only thing is that someone had told me that the roles generally went to juniors and seniors, but it was worth auditioning for anyways in case you wanted to make a good impression to Ms. Locker and Ms. Pitchman for the future. So picture this. A terrified ninth grader, center stage, attempting to do her best Oscar-worthy monologue, when out of nowhere, this sound cuts through the room. And by sound, I mean Miss Jonina Pitchman's laugh. Now, if you knew her, it's just one of those things that if you know, you know. But her laugh lives rent-free in my brain to this day. And for those of you who had never had the privilege of hearing her laugh, not to worry, I tried to see if I could reenact it to my husband last night, and sadly, I can't. However, I can describe it to you, and it's more or less a high-pitched cackle that kind of makes you wonder if she's laughing or crying, and then you realize that maybe for her it's kind of the same thing. And the most important thing I need to note about her laugh is that it, without a doubt, absolutely, unequivocally, was contagious. Which you can imagine was a problem when you are in the middle of what felt like the audition of your career. And at first, her laugh caught me off guard because, you know, it almost threw me off and I almost forgot my lines and I thought I had done something wrong. But then I realized that the line I had just said was actually intended to be funny. And she wasn't laughing at me, she was laughing because of me. This may seem like a really random memory to some, but for someone who was and is not very funny, it was a huge confidence boost. Enough to actually get me the part as the district attorney. I was the only freshman amongst juniors and seniors and only one sophomore, which was AJ Pitchman, who, if I'm not wrong, played the bully. But he was far from that. We would go on to share the stage quite a bit, and it was some of my favorite memories. And of course, there was Zach, who, I'm so sorry, Zach, if I'm being honest, I really didn't know what you did back then, except I knew that you did lighting and tech stuff, and you built things for the stage, and you made everything look really great, and we kind of tortured you a lot on rehearsals. But now when I'm older, I now realize that I wasn't that far off. Kind of do that. However, I'm much more impressed by your artistry and how you brought so much production value, especially on that old stage. And then I got to know Ms. Pitchman more. Turns out it wasn't all too hard to make her laugh. But in return, it wasn't hard for her to make us laugh. My favorite, and I hope I don't get in trouble for this one, but we were talking about which celebrity man over 40 we thought was good looking. And Ms. Pitchman randomly chimes in and she agrees with one of our picks. And then one of the girls is like, "But Ms. Pitchman, you're married." And she was like, "Oh, stop. Just because you're on a diet doesn't mean that you can't look at the menu." I swear to God, I feel like I say that to my husband at least once a month. And my least favorite memory, which at the time now I think it's funny, back then I didn't, was we spent a lot of time at the beginning of each rehearsal playing an icebreaker. And I got this nickname, Hammy, my first year. And it came from this silly warm-up game where we had to name the cities, and we'd go alphabetically, and everyone had to remember the cities as we went through the alphabet. And I panicked, and I had the letter H, and I said Hamsterdam. And therefore I got the nickname Hammy. And so, anytime she would see me, it wasn't Tiffany, it was Hammy! As I look back, some of my favorite memories in my life were in Garner Center, walking onto that stage and hanging out with AJ, Zach, and Miss Pitchman. Your family made the stage feel like home in so many ways, and it was a huge part of why I spent 4 years doing theater for social change. But there was another reason, one that's part of why I have a career today. I had said earlier that my audition for the Invisible J. Michael Hess was the audition of my career. And while I felt that way at 14 years old, I feel even stronger about that statement today. The play had dealt with serious topics, one of which was suicide. And after each performance, we would open the floor to have conversations with the audience, something Miss Locker and Miss Pitchman made a point to make an essential part of the show. And after our first performance and seeing people open up and get emotional and share the things they hadn't said out loud before, it shifted something in me. It made me realize that Miss Pitchman and Miss Locker had set out to prove what Miss Locker and Miss Pitchman had set out to prove from the start, that art can change people, and when done right, it can change the world. And that realization changed my life. A few months after doing that show, it inspired me to write a few scenes about my experiences with bullying. And I completely copied their model, because at the end of every performance, I too had a discussion about the topic. I started presenting to some parents, which later presented to some students, until I remember Miss Locker and Miss Pitchman went to go watch a few scenes I had put together during an assembly. Now, if you knew the two of them were, for a while I felt like almost one name. You always saw them together. And so, when I think of this memory, I just remember both of them raising their hand. And I remember feeling so nervous I almost didn't want to call on them, because I didn't know what they were going to say. And during that discussion, that post-performance discussion, I remember Miss Pitchman and Miss Locker not only giving me their blessing, but insisting I turn it into a play. And so I did. Now I'll cut to the chase on this, but I finished the play, and then I toured the play while I was a student here. And years later, at 21 years old, I sold that play. And that play is what launched my career. And so when I trace myself back, one of the clearest lines leads right here, to Miami Country Day School, to Theater for Social Change, and to Miss Jonina Pitchman. Being here tonight reminds me that this is why art programs are so important. Because art isn't just a way of expressing yourself, it's a way to find yourself. And I found myself on the stage Miss Pitchman helped create for me and all of her students. And so if we're made of all the pieces of the people we meet, then I am incredibly proud to say that a piece of me will always be hers. Thank you.
So it turns out that all those things that Tiffany spoke about Zach doing during Theater for Social Change and for many of our productions while he was in school here, he went on to do for his career. And he works here at Miami Country Day School, and he is the reason I have light on me today. And he's going to tell you a little bit about his story. Zach Pitchman, class of 2005, and Jonina Pitchman's eldest son will now share a few thoughts.
Is this what I do to people up here? Hello, everyone. First of all, Hammy, thank you. So beautiful, thank you. And Brittany, by the way, I think my class won the skit that year. I believe we can talk later. So, hello, everyone. If you know me, hopefully you found my blinding joke funny. If you don't, then you're probably asking yourself, what the heck is this guy talking about? So for those of you who don't know, my name is Zach Pitchman, and Jonina was my mom. It's a bit surreal to be standing here tonight, not just as Jonina's son, or as someone who's usually standing over here illuminating the stage, not standing on it, but someone who had a rare and beautiful privilege of calling Jonina not just my mom, but a colleague, a creative partner, and a best friend. For those of you who knew her here at MCDS, you probably remember seeing her in a few different working roles throughout the years, maybe in the library, maybe in the nurse's office, or as a member of the Parents Association when my younger brother Adrian and I were lower school students here, or even as a class sponsor in our upper school. But my mom's biggest passion, outside of my brother and I, and chocolate, of course, was dance, but really all of the arts. Quick bit of history, my mom was raised in the city in New York, and here in Miami Beach, by two showbiz parents. Her mother was a singer and a dancer, her father a classical composer. My mom studied dance in the city, both at NYU and with the New York City Ballet. She also loved acting and spent time performing in musical theater when she was younger. But back to Miami Country Day. Following a few years of her other work on campus that I mentioned earlier, she was given the opportunity to begin our Miami Country Day dance program while I was a student here in upper school. In that role, she taught dance, and choreographed our musicals when needed. Fast forward a few years, she passed along the dance teacher torch and became the associate director of our former Theater for Social Change program, eventually with me as the associate director. Around that time, my mom was also working as the arts department coordinator while we were still operating out of the Garner Center, and that's where she and I really got to work side by side. And I'll tell you what, collaborating with your mom on a subject that you're both super passionate about, and that subject is theater, that was pretty awesome. Equal parts inspiring and humbling. She challenged me, she challenged all of us to go deeper, to be braver, to say something real. She believed in the power of art to heal, to inspire, to transform, and she made sure the students here at MCDS felt the same. My mom had this way of making people feel seen and welcome, students and peers alike. Students loved her because she didn't just teach them, she listened to them, she learned from them, and she showed them consistently that they mattered. Her peers loved her for the same reasons, as a friend and a colleague, yes, but also as a tireless advocate for the arts, for equity and equality, and for truth-telling. It truly is a privilege to be standing here tonight in honor of my mom and in honor of John, Sandy, and Adam, who I knew and who I got to work with, for the inaugural class of the MCDS Arts Hall of Fame. Being part of the inaugural class would have meant the world to my mom, but more than the recognition, I think she would be proud that this Hall of Fame exists at all. That Miami Country Day is choosing to celebrate not just the arts, but the artists, educators, and change makers who make our community vibrant. To the MCDS arts community, to Terry Alfonso, thank you for recognizing my mom tonight. Thank you for seeing her the way she saw so many others. And to everyone who shared this journey with her, students, colleagues, friends, thank you for being part of the story she loved living. Tonight, there goes my paper. Tonight, we don't just honor Jonina for what she did, we celebrate who she was and who she was to the arts here at MCDS. This one's gonna make me cry. Mom, we love you, we miss you, and your legacy dances on. Thank you.
I am not going to cry. Happy tears, because legacy means that they are not forgotten. And if you are here tonight, it's because in some way your life has been touched by each one of these people, even if you did not know them. So, presenting for John Wicker tonight is Nicholas Richburg. Nicholas is a theater producer, nonprofit executive, actor, and a musician. He currently serves as executive director of Miami New Drama at the Colony Theater, a cultural anchor of the city of Miami Beach, where he produced and developed the new musical, A Wonderful World, which ran this year on Broadway, and most recently commissioned and produced the world premiere of Tony winner Jonathan Spector's newest play, Birthright, which opens this year off-Broadway. He has been the recipient of the Drama League Award, the Carbonell Award, the Silver Palm Award, was named a Miami Leader by the Miami Foundation. He is a graduate of the University of Miami Frost School of Music and holds an MBA from IE University Madrid and Brown University. But his education and career began here, right here at Miami Country Day, where this year he is also for the first time a Spartan parent. I look at him and I see Charlie Brown, Seymour Quailborn, and a vocalist of the most extraordinary and exquisite beauty. Please join me in welcoming Miami Country Day alum class of 1996, Nicholas Richburg.
I I am older than Brittany, but a little more vain, so I'm gonna put these here just in case. Good evening. What an evening. I didn't know Jonina personally, but I can tell tonight by the love in the room what an incredible educator, mother, and person she was. And I could easily fill an hour talking about Adam or Sandi, but Terry asked me to speak about John, and in preparing for tonight, I realized just how personal that would be. John Wicker was an era in my life. He was an era in this school. 37 years. 37 years. There are moments I've had where I teach something or help a young person or a student, or I share something musical on stage in a performance, and I have felt John in that moment. And I was thinking tonight, if I could count that exponentially, if we could all of us who knew him and who were taught by him, count exponentially how many people have been touched through him, I think it would eventually reach the hundreds of thousands. He was the musical spark of creation in so very many people. John loved music of all kinds, whether it was Bach or the Beatles, which he really loved. He even convinced me one time to sing with the rock band, which was a stretch for me. He was the first teacher I ever met at Country Day, actually, and I wasn't a student here yet. My mother worked here, and she wanted me to come here, and I actually didn't want to. I kind of wanted to stay with my friends where I was, and she was a smart lady, my mother, and she brought me here, and I went to the Garner Center, and I went to the band room, and I met John, and I sang for him, and he said, what do you get to do in the school where you're at now? And I said, I get to star in the Christmas pageant. And he said, well, we do 2 musicals a year, and I can make you a good musician. And he convinced me that day, and a short while later, I was walking in as a 7th grader, a 12-year-old, into upper school chorus, and there was Carmen and Adam and all these incredible people with incredible voices, and I was so intimidated. And he said, hey everybody, this is Nicholas, and yes, he's 12 years old, and he's in 7th grade, but he's gonna be in upper school chorus with us, and in a little while, you'll all see why. And that wasn't intimidating at all. And a few days later, we're all standing around, and everybody was singing this song that he had us learn. It was a song from Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, which is a theme of tonight, apparently. And everybody was singing it, and he was coaching them, and he said, all right, Nicholas, you're up. And he sang it. It wasn't bad. And he said, well, now they know why you're here, and I want everybody to know why you're here, and tomorrow morning I want you to sing that at the upper school assembly. So the next day, after being in this new school for a week at 12 years old, I was standing and with a microphone at center stage singing a song for the high schoolers. It was pretty good, if I do say so myself. And I thought at the end of it that he would shower me with praise and be like, that was amazing, oh my God, that was incredible. And he said, that was good. And I realized that he expected it to be good. And I don't know why he expected it to be good. He really didn't know me that well at the time. Yeah, it could have been a disaster that he pushed me out there. And that is the first moment I can remember in what I would consider the formation of a profound sense of artistic and personal confidence that John built in me. A sense of unquestioning artistic exploration and an invincibility of will that later in my life I would struggle to have to find again. Whatever idea I had, if I wanted to do a competition nobody'd ever done, it didn't matter. If I was alone, he would drive me himself to Homestead, to Gainesville, to wherever I needed to go. He would just do it. Senior year, there were no girls in upper school choir. No boys in upper school choir, just me. And I said, I don't want to be the only guy singing. I actually want to conduct, like you. I want you to teach me how to conduct. And he said, okay. And he made me the TA of the upper school choir. I taught that class for an entire semester, chose the music, conducted it every day. We went to competition, went to districts, went to states, and he put those 15 girls on a bus in dresses sewn by my grandmother, and we went and competed at a state competition. And by that point, it was something that I completely took for granted. Kristen Block and I, who I saw in those pictures a few times, wanted to take AP Music Theory, something nobody here had ever taken before. And he said, sure. And so there was a class of the two of us sitting in chairs across from his desk in his office 3 days a week, and me many days of the week after school for hours, because she was way better at it than me, but I always wanted to try to catch up with her. When I was a senior, John and Terry decided that they were going to do Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, which, yes, Adam had done as a senior, which I was also in, and it was a rite of passage. You had to play Joseph or Jesus, or if you were a girl, you played Dorothy and The Wiz. I think those were all of John's favorite shows. And they told me they thought I'd be so excited. They were like, we're gonna do Joseph. And I know when you were in 8th grade, you were like so bummed that Adam got it. And I was like, actually, I'd like to play the narrator, and I'd like to direct it and choreograph a few of the numbers. And I thought they'd think I was nuts. And they said, okay. And it was like peak creativity and unrestricted support, unconditional trust. And that created unfathomable levels of confidence. And when I went to music school after that, which was a very difficult place, where I think they think they're doing you a favor by knocking all your confidence out of you. And years later, I was maybe 21 or 22, and I was so bummed by the whole prospect of a career and thought I'd made some mistake. And I remember sitting down and thinking, how do I find that kid who felt like he could do anything because Terry and Sandi and John were so sure that he could do anything? How did he sound? What would he do now? How did he sing? And I literally found my voice in that way and regained my love for performing. There are people that move through your life, and when you're young, you don't realize it because we sort of take everything for granted. And John made me a musician. And he taught me the value and the power of arts education, yes, which I take with me every day in my work. And he made me, most importantly, a believer in myself in a way that nobody can ever take away. Standing here right now and knowing that so many of you out there feel the same way about him, I feel the weight of wanting to express to those of you who maybe didn't know him personally, though there's probably only a few, how incredible a man he was and what his impact was on us. We were so lucky, and we are so grateful, and this honor is so fitting for him. It's hard for me to think of him, especially toward the end of his career, without thinking of the movie Mr. Holland's Opus. I wish the world would have been different at the time that he retired, and we would have all been able to gather in a place like this and have, I don't know, some incredible concert with Carmen and Adam and everybody showing him in one place the culmination of his incredible career and how he shaped our lives. If we had been able to do that, I would have very much liked to stand here and look up at the balcony. I don't know why the balcony, I think that's where people sit for the Kennedy Center honors, but he would be up on the balcony, and I'd be standing here and I would quote the film and say to him, "There is not a life in this room that you have not touched. And each of us is a better person because of you. We are your symphony, Mr. Wicker. We are the melodies and the notes of your opus. We are the music of your life."
Chelsea Wicker Tijerino, John Wicker's daughter, will now share a few memories of her dad.
Good evening. Last time I didn't write anything down, and it was all a blur, but we got this. It takes a truly special organization to put together a night like tonight. I'm honored to be here amongst all of you to celebrate the Arts Hall of Fame inductees. A very special shout out to Terry for putting this all together, for keeping our family in the loop, and for continuing to honor my dad and make sure that his legacy lives on here. We look forward to having you over for dinner, making Easter eggs, and oohing over Anthony's baby pictures and watching Love on the Spectrum in the man cave. I would like to share some memories with you of my time here while my dad was here. On show nights, our weekday routine came to a halt as we made the trek up north to Miami Country Day. After sitting in I-95 traffic and wondering how my dad did this on the daily, we finally arrived onto a campus that has very little resemblance to this school today. We entered through the back, and I slowly walked by the prop room, eyeing the feathered boas, the racks of costumes, hoping to eye ruby slippers, and dreaming of playing in there. When suddenly, I'm brought out of my daydream when the big metal door opens and I'm in my dad's arms. He walks us through the backstage hustle and bustle, with flashing lights, vocal warm-ups, and groovy making last-minute adjustments to the sets. When we emerge through a mist of hairspray and into a group of students, firing off questions and telling my dad all their worries. Many of you, I'm sure. I look up and I see my dad, who's super calm and steady, barely breaking a sweat, as he answers all their questions, cracks some jokes to calm everyone down. My mom kisses my dad and ushers my brother and I to our seats as the lights begin to flash and the tuning of instruments begin. The productions never felt as though they were inside a school cafeteria, but instead we were all transported to the stage of Broadway. Little Shop of Horrors, Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, Jesus Christ Superstar, Phantom of the Opera, Fiddler on the Roof, and The Wiz, just to name a few, were my early introductions to musicals and how music can evoke feelings and bring a wooden set to life. Watching my dad lead with his conductor's wand in hand, pausing at time to help tune an instrument, adjust someone's light, or turn the page of music, left me in curiosity. Most shows called for my dad to play the piano, the trumpet, or the guitar. Pretty sure I even saw him play the flute once or the violin when in a pinch. Looking back now, that must have been a really great experience for all of you to create a show together and have your teacher join in on the fun. 4th of July meant fireworks at the golf course for much of my life. We invited childhood friends, neighbors that we grew up with, and as we grew up, we invited our significant others and eventually brought our own children to lay out those picnic blankets brave the heat, and hope those building clouds out west would block the sun just enough, but wouldn't open up and rain on the parade. Here, you'd find my dad toting a bandana in his hair. He loved his hair. A t-shirt with missing sleeves, and rocking a pair of shorty shorts before they were back in style. He was surrounded by coworkers, former students, that turned to being close friends, all busy setting up mics, doing sound checks, and stopping by to say hello to his fans, his adoring family, before going on stage. Being on stage and performing must have been a happy place for him. If you've ever done 4th of July with my dad, or really any show, you know the firsthand how much work goes into setting up a stage, taking it down, and how sore your body is for the next several days. But he did it for years to come, and finally made one last hurrah at Waldo's with a reunion of 21 Hearts that made before he passed. Putting together gigs and performing meant so much to my dad. Growing up, my dad and James Taylor were one and the same. I don't know if he tried to sound like him or if it was the other way around, but their voices always sounded so similar to me, so effortless and smooth, like a warm hug. Music was always playing in our house. Eric Clapton, Bonnie Raitt, Kev Moe, Joni Mitchell, Fleetwood Mac, Neil Young, The Beatles, James Taylor were the sounds of my childhood, and maybe you'll be able to know which one were my dad's and which one were my mom's. My parents were, along with the sounds of a lawnmower and power tools, for sure. My parents were DIYers, and I learned a lot from them both. One time, my dad had a great idea to make over my mom's office while she was out of town at Tahoe. We decided we would install bamboo flooring, build her a brand new desk, and paint the walls that we thought was a beautiful shade of soft blue. We really did not consider my mom's choice in colors or her preference when we made these decisions. And when she came back home, she was pleasantly surprised. The office is still exactly the same, but my mother leans into warmer tones. Fast forward to current day. We are creating new memories here. Our son Cyrus swims here at swim meets and has set many middle school records on this campus, and I know that Pop-Up would be so proud of you. Music continues to play a big role in our lives. My mom and I love finding new artists and sharing music with each other. We dance, we sing, we reminisce. Sometimes the day feels heavy, so a sad song helps you let it all out. Maybe you need a cheery song, and it lifts you right up. So with that being said, I hope that music continues to be present in all of your lives. Make time to do what makes you happy, and throw on some James Taylor when you need a friend. Thank you.
I hope you agree that this has been an extraordinary evening, but it's not over. We have one more thing that we would like for you all to participate in. First, a few thank yous. I'm so deeply grateful to everyone who came together to make this evening possible. To our amazing arts faculty and our unbelievable tech crew, I know that I am the luckiest person in the world to get to work in this department. I am so blessed to have people that are totally supportive, totally cheerleaders, and totally get the passion and join in on it. So I thank you. Thank you for doing everything from stapling programs to arranging lighting and always going above and beyond. To our administrative team, thank you for your unwavering support of the arts and of our students. I will never forget this night and the amazing stories our alumni shared. As I said, for sure, future Hall of Famers are in this room. These alumni reminded us just how deeply these teachers and mentors shaped their lives. To the families who so generously shared their loved ones with our community, We thank you. I also want to share that the idea for our Arts Hall of Fame was inspired by the Athletics Hall of Fame, a tradition that celebrates excellence, legacy, and tradition that and Spartan pride, excuse me. We wanted to create a similar space for the arts where creativity, mentorship, and lifelong impact could be honored in the same lasting and meaningful way. As we close, we're going to do something a little different. We're going to invite you on stage. Tito, can you open the curtain? So, Miss Kohler is going to come around. Where's Miss Kohler? She's there, she is. What we are going to do is we're going to bring you all up on stage, and we're going to walk across the stage to where that door is open and where the little green exit sign is. That leads to what we call our archive hallway. In that hallway, we have artifacts from shows that happened before we moved into this building, because we wanted to commit to never forgetting where we came from. And so you will see, well, yes, there's probably a plaque of Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor. We actually did other shows too. But it's just, Joseph is really perfect. It's short, it has all these different, we'll talk about that another time, but there's other shows in there and you can see them. After you walk through the hallway, Carly will be leading us. That's Carly right there, she's lovely. We will walk through the hallway and then we will take a right and you'll see where we have put the sign and we will unveil it. And because it's a sort of narrow way, although everybody on campus will see it because the kids walk through here all the time, we'd like the families of our inductees to be the first in line so they can see the unveiling. So after that, see, I told you had a part in the show. You're going to walk across the stage. You're going to go through the archive hallway. You're going to come see the beautiful sign. And then please, please stay and join us for the reception. Let's share great food. Let's share great drinks and even more memories and conversations. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here tonight and for helping us honor the legacy, the love, and the light of the arts of Miami Country Day School. Okay, jazz band, why don't you play us on stage? And
Thank you.